Hello everyone, this is part 75 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Good job today, Naruto. Sakura cheered as she gave Naruto a proud pat on the back. UHG, I never want to set foot in there again, the blonde Jinchuriki groaned as he and his pink-haired teammate left the hospital late one afternoon. All the rules and procedures, not to mention you still have to eat the food. You can't go out for lunch or snack. I swear Sakura-chan, I don't know how you do it. After Hyuga Fukuro's seal had been removed, and Hiashi had the new seal placed on himself, it didn't take long before the elders knew what was happening regarding their precious caged bird seal. But, despite keeping it secret for so many years, the intended removal of the caged bird seal, the cat was now out of the bag about Neji's seal being removed, and the elders were panicking. Both for concern that the Byakugan could now be lost to an enemy clan, and the fact that they were losing the grip on power over the entirety of the clan. Hiashi had bore the new seal for nearly a week, placed on the back of his head, in the very location of the Byakugan's lone blind spot. And it was here the seal could be covered by hair and hidden from the eyes of the public. No longer would Hyugas have to walk around, deciding between covering their forehead up or bearing that shameful disgrace for a seal. While it was true that there was no guarantee that the seal would work, at least not until someone who bore it actually Hiashi had faith in the expertise of his master and sibling student. He had to, for now the were cast, and Hiashi was doing what he could to keep the remaining two Hyuga main branch families at bay. They demanded Hiashi cease the removal of the caged bird seal, but if there was anything Hiashi was holding his ground on, it was this. And that brings us back to Naruto. The poor Uzumaki groaned as he had spent the last 2 days straight at the hospital while he and Sakura worked to unseal and reseal as many Hyugas as Hiashi could give them. And that equated to nearly 30% of the branch family having received the new seal, including all of the younger Hyugas and children. Naruto let out another groan, this time from his stomach. Sakura-chan, can you buy the ramen tonight? I may be tired as well, but that doesn't mean I'm stupid. Sakura shot back at Naruto's attempt to get into her purse. Last time someone treated you to ramen, you nearly bankrupted poor Shizune-san. UHG? Fine, Naruto sighed as he turned into Ichiraku's. Looks like it was only going to be his usual 10 bowls tonight, and not an all-you-can-eat smorgasbord. Naruto let out a big yawn, his only desire now was a good night's sleep as he climbed the stairs to his apartment, his belly full of ramen. Why goodness. Coming to the hall though, something wasn't quite right. His shinobi senses were alerting Naruto that there was someone inside his apartment. Kunai out, Naruto snuck around, through the windowed balcony, only to be greeted by the sound of snoring coming from his couch. Yup, someone who wasn't him was in there, and they had bypassed the security seals somehow. Apart from him, the only others who could pass them were Hinata, Sakura, Sasuke, Kakashi, Tsunade, Karen, and Jiraiya. And only the last of them could potentially snore like the bear in his room. Yet, Naruto knew Jiraiya was presently out of the village, checking in with a part of his network that had some intel regarding Akatsuki. So whoever this was, to be able to get through an Uzumaki seal, this person was dangerous. And as Naruto carefully made his way into the apartment, trying not to startle the intruder and get a jump on him, but as the blonde tenant had his kunai at the ready, it seemed the sleeping person wasn't going to be taken advantage of just like that, and 2 metal blades clanged in the dark. Who do you think you are, thief? Resorting to the cowardice of shadows and sneaking into this place. Thief, you're the one who broke into my place. Naruto shouted back before taking a moment to realize something. He knew that voice as he felt for a light switch. Hiro. Cousin. Needless to say, Naruto wasn't in much of a talking mood that night. How Hiro had managed to bypass the seals. Well, he trusted his cousin enough to let it wait until morning. Well, I'd arrived and was searching everywhere for you, but you were nowhere to be found yesterday, Hiro stated over breakfast. So, I asked a few people around town where you were and they said you lived here. Hiro was interrupted by a loud knocking on the door before the door to Naruto's apartment flew off its hinges, revealing a sleep-deprived Karen. How loud do you snore? I could have sworn I made those silence seals strong enough, but what the hell? Karen fumed, and the irritation and lack of sleep was evident by the bags under her eyes. Apparently, the combined snoring of both Hiro and Naruto had a sort of resonance effect that broke through Karen's seals and kept the poor Uzumaki girl from sleeping. Hey cousin, who's she? Hiro asked. Huh. Oh that's right, you two haven't met, have you? Naruto realized. Karen Nichan here's my cousin as well, one of us. I see it in the hair, and the temper, Hiro joked. Yeah. Well right now I don't give a crap if you are the Rikido Sennin incarnate. Keep it down. Naruto just sweat dropped as Karen stormed back to her room so that she could continue her dreams about Sasuke and such. Anyways, spill it, how'd you break my seals last night? Naruto asked Hiro. I know I was preoccupied at the hospital, but that shouldn't have stopped me from sensing them being activated, you hacked them. Now I wouldn't be an Uzumaki if I couldn't, Hiro smiled. Gotta say, not really your best work. Yeah, well, I made those years ago and the only ones who could hack them, I've already given access to, Naruto stated. Anyways, if you're here. Kaori's still young, so Keiko-Abasan can't travel too fast and for too long at the same time, not to mention Jisama's guard and everything. They sent me on ahead. They'll be here by either tonight, or tomorrow morning, just in time to celebrate. Hiro smiled. And speaking of celebrations, no, Tsunade shouted, her fist down on the desk, and causing both Sakura and Hinata to flinch. As much as I want to give the Gaki a party, after just how overboard Sasuke went, I can't allow you to throw one where property damage will likely be more than one city block. Everyone in the room just sweat dropped at that statement. Tsunade had a point. That drunken fist fight between Lee and Sasuke had been a major source of Tsunade's drinking problems for the week following. Was this what the group was going to become known for? The mass destruction of Konoha's entertainment establishments. Wait, isn't there a park on top of the Hokage's monument? Sakura asked after considering options. It's not in the middle of the city and it's isolated enough from most building that we should be safe, right? I suppose the monument park could work, Tsunade mused as Sakura's and Hinata's faces lit up. Just, Hinata, I think I can trust you to keep Naruto and his guests in check. Guests? Sakura asked. The remnants of the Uzumaki clan from the Land of Iron, Tsunade said. Including Mifune Dono himself. So, all in all, Mifune, his wife, their children Nobu and Keiko and their spouses, and then the most recent generation of Iron Uzumakis, Hiro, Akira, and Kaori, plus the half-dozen or so samurai who've been assigned to guard Mifune while he's traveling. Wow, I knew Naruto said he had family up in the Land of Iron, but to think he's connected like that, Sakura mused impressed. I know, Tsunade smiled innocently evilly. I can't wait to see the look on those counselors' faces the day after tomorrow. Jiraiya, Kazashi, Hiashi, and a few others who are in the know have bets going on. So, Dad knows about who Naruto is? Sakura asked. Most of the Shinobi Council, especially if they've served personally with Minato, have seemed to connect the dots, Tsunade said. Now, go on, the monument park's yours for the party. Tsunade-sama, Hinata turned before exiting. Do you think Hanabi's team will return by then? She was really looking forward to celebrating Naruto-kun's birthday as well. I just received word from Anko this morning by Messenger Hawk, Tsunade said. They're just tying up a few loose ends, but should be back either tomorrow evening, or the morning of the 10th. Just a routine bandit deterrent mission in the north of the Land of Fire. Let's go, Hinata, Sakura chirped. Besides, we've still gotta get your present for him figured out. PPP present, Hinata stuttered, turning red at the same time as thoughts of her present to Naruto came to mind as Sakura pulled her from the office to go shopping. Just as Tsunade turned to focus on the work at hand, another knock came on her door and a man stepped in, bearing a briefcase. Can I help you with something? Tsunade asked the man. If he was here, then that meant he had a reason to see her and would have cleared the initial reception in the lobby of the building. Yes, Tsunade-sama, I'm from the Konoha Lottery Department, the man said, placing a briefcase and a small stack of papers on top of it on Tsunade's desk. Well, I'm pleased to announce that the winner of last night's lottery drawing is none other than you. Now if you'll just sign here, the 10 million RYO, $1 million United States dollars, will be yours, minus taxes of course. Sunad was a little stupefied as she looked over the documents. Everything was certainly official and appropriate as she signed to collect her winnings, and the man from the lottery just bowed and left. Sunad-sama, Shizune asked. Even she knew what this meant. I seriously hope this doesn't mean those kids are going to go overboard and do something like break Gramps' head from the very cliff, and send it hurtling down to crush the village beneath, because if it is, please make sure I'm there, just to put me out of my misery and save me from the nightmare of paperwork that I know will follow. Sunad groaned as she dreaded the incoming storm for whatever party shenanigan those kids had in store this time. So this is the famed Ichiraku ramen you're always raving about. Hiro smiled as he sniffed the aroma coming from within the restaurant. Smells good, that's for sure. Yeah, and Tuki Oji-san has a few special recipes he's been perfecting, rescued from Azushiogakur. Naruto grinned and Hiro's face lit up. So the rumors were true then, the great recipes of older back then. Hiro drooled uncontrollably. Old man. Hope your broth's boiling and the noodles are noodling, Naruto shouted as he and Hiro entered. Who are you calling old? Tuki shouted back before turning to see Naruto, simply just laughing in the end. So, who's your friend? Old man Tuki, this is Hiro, Naruto introduced. Uzumaki Hiro, at your service, Hiro stated. My cousin says you serve the finest ramen in all the land of fire. Well, I said the entire world, Naruto muttered and Tuki just laughed. So, you're another of Naruto's family he told me about from the land of iron then, Tuki said. Ayami, get on the noodles. And if one looked close enough, you could see Tuki's money eye dojutsu activated as the thought of two people with Uzumaki stomachs was promising him a pretty payday. Hinata blushed deeply as she held up in front of her the results of her present shopping with Sakura. There was just so little there. Could she actually go through with wearing something that revealing? Even if it was just for Naruto, and Naruto's eyes alone. Mustering the courage to do so, and in the privacy of her own room, Hinata slipped out of her training clothes and decided to give Naruto's present a little test drive as she slipped the lingerie onto her curvy and shaped body. It certainly made certain parts on her body pop, and Hinata did everything in her power to stop herself from going beet red to unconscious as she tried to mentally envision herself with Naruto, wearing this and only this in just a few quick days. The Hyuga were very much considered a noble clan, and in many cases, women were expected to remain pure until marriage. But then again, the Hyuga were a shinobi clan, and while they tended to avoid anything that dealt with body work, or seduction, the facts were that they were shinobi. And shinobi had to be prepared for anything. There was zero guarantee an active kunoichi could remain pure. Answer, while there was a certain expectation that had been set, said expectation had been deteriorating over the years. Besides, Naruto was the one she wanted to give herself to. It wasn't like she just met Naruto last week. No, they'd been together for nearly 5 years, although 3 of those were spent apart. And the whole pure until marriage thing. It only applied if she knew there was a possibility of her being married off in a political fashion to someone who expected a virgin bride. But Naruto, well, the thought of marrying Naruto first of all was dangerous, for there were few things that could still bring her to the verge of fainting, and marriage was one such thing. And what she was planning and envisioning for her and Naruto to do in the coming days, that was definitely another one that she'd have to get over sooner, rather than later. Hinata. Eeepp. Hinata, eeped, as she heard her father call for her outside of her room, followed by a knock. D-DD on come I in, Hinata called out. I'm NN not DD decent. IWW wanted to be bathed after TT training. I see, Hinata heard Hiyashi say from the other side of the door. Well, afternoon tea will be ready in 10 minutes, so try not to take too long or it'll get cold. Hinata let out a long-held breath as she heard her father's footsteps leave. She most certainly needed a bath now, based on the amount she was sweating back there. Even though there was a wall, and that wall was equipped with a special seal that blocked all but the most focused Byakugan, the fact that she was talking to her father while dressed in the lingerie which served to cover barely anything, she was definitely feeling lightheaded right now. Speaking of lingerie and dressing up, or down, Sakura had also scored a few pieces which she was hoping to strut in front of Sasuke. Yet, unlike Hinata, Sakura didn't have much problem trying out the bedroom looks. In fact, she was giggling and blushing, very much like how a young girl would in this situation. She'd missed her chance, back on Sasuke's birthday. Her plan was to make Sasuke hers that night and put an end to any false claim those silly fangirls think they might have, but sadly Toad Brood Sake had other plans for the night, and said man of her desires found himself strung up on the Hokage monument, following a drunken brawl that leveled 2 city blocks. And then there was their mission to take Naruto to Uzushiogakure, and the subsequent rescue of Yugito and Sasuke defeating his brother. However, after that day, the Uchiha seemed to lose interest in anything deemed romantic, while his mind tried to digest the death of Itachi and fulfillment of his goal, not to mention Naruto's crazy fangirl of a cousin constantly blocking any advances she tried to make. Still, some time had passed, and Sasuke was beginning to warm up to her advances and company again. Perhaps it was time to try again. Weather was moving in late afternoon on October 9th, the village hidden in the leaves in the storm's crosshairs. It sounded like the storm was going to pass through in the hours of the night, and the village was praying it'd do just that. However, the prospect of a little rain didn't deter some people. Not bad, cousin, Hiro grinned as he stared down his opponent with his blade. Across from him stood Naruto, wielding a pair of the tri-pronged kunai as the two were having a quick spar before meeting up with the rest of the family for dinner on the eve of the Uzumaki clan's resurrection. Sitting off to the side, underneath a nearby tree, was Karen as she watched the two Uzumaki boys go at one another. She couldn't begin to believe the speed and skill at which they were fighting. In the past months, she went from being the only Uzumaki to meeting 8 others which she could call family. And as Naruto and Hiro disengaged again, Karen looked over to see another woman, this one bearing the same red hair as her, approach the training ground. Hiro, Naruto, Tusama sent me to tell you that he has dinner reservations at 6:30, Keiko called out. Thanks Keiko-Abasan. Hiro waved as he and Naruto readied themselves for another bout, while the red-haired woman took a seat nearby Karen. It's good to see that Okasama and my children aren't the last with our family's trademark red hair, smiled Keiko. Both Hiro and his father, Nobu, they got their looks from Otusama. It's always funny seeing the 3 of them dejected by the fact that they didn't get the Uzumaki hair. It sure is surreal, Karen mused. Just months ago, I thought I was it, I would never have believed that you existed, or Nichiren there was my cousin, let alone the future of our clan. Keiko asked. It sure surprised us as well when he turned up in the land of iron with Master Jiraiya, looking for Kenjutsu training. There was a small period of time when my mother thought she was the only one who'd made it out of Uzushiogakure safely, until she learned that Kushina had survived as well, plus that Mito-sama had already been in Konoha. From everything she told me, our clan valued family above all else. While we may be small, and still scattered, it's reassuring to know that there's still someone out there you can call family. Before Karen had a chance to respond to that, or really even a chance to digest the words, her sensing ability picked up something odd as she stood up and walked in the direction of this chakra. Nichiren, Naruto shouted as Karen nearly walked through the middle of his spar with Hiro, her gaze and attention fixated elsewhere as she proceeded to the tree line and peeled back the bushes, to reveal what appeared to be a panting snake, about the size of a large boa. You must help, the snake spoke, and immediately Karen was broken out of her fixation as she jumped back, screaming. A talking snake, the only talking snakes she knew were Orochimaru's summons, and the snake Sannin was the last person she wanted to see right now. Hold on, Nichiren, Naruto said, preventing Karen from flattening the exhausted snake with a large club-like branch she'd found. This didn't feel like one of Orochimaru's summons. And the fact that it had a Konoha headband around its end, you're one of Anko's summons, am I right? I am, the snake acknowledged. I must deliver a message to Hokage-sama from Anko-sama. Orochimaru-sama, he attacked Anko-sama and her team. 1S, the rest, he took back with him. Naruto's eyes shot open in horror. Anko's team, deployed on a simple bandit control mission in the northern reaches of the Land of Fire a few days ago, meant Hanabi-chan. And with a speed that would make one believe the second coming of the Yellow Flash had arrived, Naruto picked up the snake summon and bolted towards the tower. Immediately, his mind was fixated on one thing, Hanabi. The snake had mentioned that one of Anko's team was S, and the others taken back into whichever hole he'd S out from. Was Hanabi still alive? And what horrors was she now facing at the hands of Orochimaru? Should he tell Hinata? Hiashi? No. His mind had already decided. It would only cause them undue stress. Barkan was first. He'd talk to Barkan about this, and he'd bear the burden of Hanabi's fate himself. But plans never work out the way one wants. As Naruto arrived, bounding through the window of Tsunde's office, he came face to face with the last thing he wanted to see, Hinata's teared-up face. Orochimaru, he's got Hanabi-chan, Hinata sobbed as she gripped in her arms a small white tiger. Of course, Naruto mentally smacked himself. Hinata and Hanabi have the same summoning contract. They can get in touch with one another through their summons. Kind of like me and Ero Sennin. There was going to be no hiding this from Hinata. Barkan. Naruto placed the snake on Tsunde's desk for the snake to relay what Hanabi's tiger had as well. Can we confirm that they're still alive? Tsunde asked. Orochimaru-sama K1, a young male I believe, the snake spoke. Hanabi-sama's tied to our contract. If she were to S, we'd surely know, the tiger spoke. I was aiding Hanabi-sama in trying to escape but was dispelled by an attack as she was captured. I must apologize for I was out for a day, and thus unable to warn Hinata-sama. It is stain against my honor that I could have allowed something to happen to Hanabi-sama under my watch. Don't worry, Hinata-chan, Naruto declared. I'll go and find Hanabi-chan right away, Tobio. Tsunde let out a deep sigh as she tried to take in everything. While she didn't trust the snakes all that well, the white tigers were a different story. If this one was stating that her former teammate had taken some of her shinobi captive, then she was inclined to believe him. And as Naruto tried to gauge Tsunde's reaction, almost expecting for her to admonish and scold him for suggesting the idea of him going after Orochimaru, the Hokage spoke. Kakashi, Jiraiya, maybe Guy, maybe Yamato, maybe Zabuza, Tsunde sighed. The list of shinobi besides myself that I believe would even stand a chance of survival against Orochimaru is short, and then Tsunde looked up at Naruto. Not only was Naruto proving himself a skilled shinobi, but he had Kurama on his side. And even she doubted Orochimaru would fare well against that giant powerhouse of chakra. Who else? According to Jiraiya, it sounded like Orochimaru didn't fare too well against Itachi's Sharingan. Sasuke. Tsunde-sama, if you're going to send a team, then I request that I be included on the recovery team. Both Tsunde and Naruto grew silent as the request came from Hinata. Even if Hinata had proven herself a skilled kunoichi, Orochimaru was well out of her league. Hinata-chan, you can't, Naruto gasped. Hanabi's my sister. I don't care if I have to face Orochimaru. But I must bring her home. Hinata declared. But this is Orochimaru. Naruto argued. I almost lost you a few weeks ago, I'm not going to. Naruto. Tsunde shouted. But, Barkan. Naruto replied. You can't be thinking. I'm not sure yet, Tsunde said. The simple fact remains is that any team I send, will come face to face with that snake. And that team needs to be able to accomplish its mission of bringing our comrades back. Answer me this, because the slugs can do it to an extent, can the white tigers track their summoners? I cannot, but there are some of us who can, Hinata's tiger spoke. Damn, Tsunde swore, taking a look at the map and the area where she sent them. It was in the northern reaches of the Land of Fire, near the border with the Land of Rice, and it was there where Jiraiya believed Orochimaru to have established his main base of operation, Otogakure. How could she have overlooked that? Naruto, Tsunde snapped. Go get your team, Sasuke and Sakura. Tell them to meet at the gate in 30 minutes. Hokage-sama, Hinata asked, and both she and Naruto were waiting for Tsunde's decision. I'll be honest, Hinata, Tsunde sighed. I don't want to send you. Infiltrating one of Orochimaru's lesser bases is one thing, but I expect you to come across my old teammate this time. Do I think you stand a chance against him? No. But I can't dismiss your skills as a tracker. It'll take me at least 2 days to recall Kakashi and Guy to form an adequate backup squad. You four will be on your own until then, 2 more days at the hands of Orochimaru, I wouldn't even wish that fate on the ones who Keidan and Nawaki. The sooner you can find them and get them out of there, the better. Now go, time is not on our side right now. Naruto sighed, wanting to argue as he looked over at Hinata. She was as resolved as ever on this as she turned to go and prepare herself. And Naruto was certain she wasn't that happy with him objecting her coming along. He could get that, but it was because he cared for her and didn't want her to get K, or worse. Naruto, Tsunade called out to the blonde before he could leave. Leave me with a messenger Toad, will you? With this, I need Jiraiya back ASAP. He'll be a part of your relief squad. Hinata arrived quietly back at the Hyuga clan complex, quietly making her way to her room in order to pack. Ideally, she wouldn't tell her father. No, he'd find out eventually of course, but hopefully by the time he did, she'd have gotten Hanabi out of that snake's clutches. And as quick as she came, she left, unnoticed by those who would have questioned her being there. One of Naruto's clones had finally spotted Sasuke and Sakura, walking through one of the streets in the direction of what seemed to be the Uchiha compound. Naruto. Sakura questioned as Naruto landed in front of them. Boss says there's an emergency mission that came up, Naruto said as both Sasuke and Sakura looked irritated. And the way Sakura was clinging to Sasuke, well, it didn't take Jiraiya to figure out what was going on here. I'm sorry, but Anko's team and Hanabi were taken by Orochimaru. Sakura gasped at that, and even Sasuke looked shocked, slightly. And Hinata. Sakura was afraid to ask how Hinata was handling it. She'll be coming with us, Naruto stated. Can't say boss was too happy with that call, but we'll need Hinata as a tracker. So, I take it then, Sasuke spoke, a glint gleaming in his red eyes. Yeah, Naruto said. Be ready for the snake. Not even 30 minutes had passed by the time Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Hinata were by the gate with Tsunade, Shizune, Sakura's parents, and the Uzumakis from the Land of Iron. I'm sorry, Sensei, everyone, Naruto apologized, turning to his family. We were supposed to celebrate non-stop starting tomorrow, and yet, here I am running off. I won't be back for a few days. Naruto, we understand with what Karen-chan and Tsunade Dono has informed me, Mifune said, silencing Naruto and motioning to his son. In fact, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't be disappointed if you didn't go. Nobu arrived with a long and thin package, wrapped in cloth, and handed it to his father. And as Mifune unraveled the cloth, Naruto caught a glimpse of what was beneath it. When you wrote to me about your encounter with the Yonbi, and the fate that befell my master's sword, my son and I went straight to work on this, Mifune said, handing the blade to Naruto. It may not have been forged in Azushiogakur, but both my son and I put every fiber of our being and every ounce of our knowledge into crafting this. Forged in the Land of Iron, yet done so in the stylings of the Uzumaki, I hope it serves you well in your battles to come. Thank you, Sensei, Naruto bowed, taking and affixing the blade to his belt. Uzumaki Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, Hyuga Hinata. Tsunade called out, and as the four of them assembled, Naruto took one last look around, noticing a notable absence of someone. He doesn't know, does he? Naruto asked quietly over to Hinata. No, Hinata spoke. I didn't know how to tell him. So, I'll tell him by bringing Hanabi back. Just recently, we received word that Orochimaru a few of our shinobi, Mitarashi Anko, Narutoshi, Shikuza Katami, and Hyuga Hanabi. We have reason to believe that some members of the team are alive and are captives of Orochimaru. Recent intel suggests Orochimaru established a stronghold somewhere in the Land of Rice, near the site of operation for Team Anko. It makes sense that this is where he'd taken them. I am assigning the four of you an S-rank mission to rescue what remains of Team Anko. Confrontation with Orochimaru is expected. And if we encounter Orochimaru? Naruto asked sternly. Tsunade paused for a moment. Just make sure the four of you return alive. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.